Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge. Welcome to Eldridge Company. The most sophisticated women have Judith Leiber's bags hanging from their shoulders or clutched in their hands, and at the same time many museums are collecting or mounting her work. Jeffrey Sussman tells us in a most delicious way the life stories of two artists, Judith and her husband Gerson Leiber, in the book No Mere Bagatelles. Jeffrey and Judith are my guests today. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you very much.
It's so nice to have you. Your book is wonderful, and it tells this great adventure of these two incredibly talented people. And your life is like a fairy tale, right?
Is it? In a way, yes.
Yes.
Well, you know, I mean, I grew up in Budapest, in Hungary, and I learned the handbag trade because I couldn't get into, you know, originally my parents sent me to London to go to university there, but in the summer of 1939 I came home for the summer, and the war broke out and I never went back. So I had to learn a trade.
Yeah.
Because I said when the war is over, I'm going to, with my trade, I will go somewhere and work in other countries, because Hungary was very difficult. It was a very tough country.
What was your father do? What kind of work was he doing?
Well, my father was originally worked in a bank that did, you know, he was a director in the commercial bank in Budapest, and he was in charge of grain, and he used to travel to the west and sell, you know, beans and wheat to the western countries. And he worked there for many, many years, and then he decided to retire from that. And first he worked in a company that he was part of as you know, as doing just the same thing, like selling wheat and grain. And then this ended, and he decided to go into the jewelry business, and the jewelry business that he went into was one that sold he sold watches and gold jewelry to, you know, people in the countryside, like the notary and the mayor in little villages, and they paid on the installment plan. And this business was started by one of his brothers-in-law in Austria. And my father decided to do the same thing, and he did that from 1938 or 37 until, you know, everything went to hell and you couldn't do anything anymore.
Jeffrey talks about that life while the first under siege with the Germans, and then later the Russians.
Sure.
And
yes, it was a terrible time. I mean, the Germans were really impossible. It was horrible. And we were just lucky that we survived in Budapest, because most of the Jews even from Budapest were deported.
Yes, you certainly must have been lucky.
We were very lucky because we were in a Jewish house, but we moved from that building to a Swiss protected house that a friend had an apartment in, and 26 people lived in a one bedroom, one living room apartment.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, we were like wall to wall on mattresses.
So did that teach you something, how to get along well with people or be more tolerant?
Maybe it did. I don't know.
It must have been quite an experience.
It was a terrific experience, and you know what the trouble was? That we couldn't stay there because it was very near the Danube, and the Nazis decided that they were going to empty the whole building, and they took, even though we were Swiss protected, they picked us up, and we walked from there to the ghetto, and we were in the ghetto until the Russians liberated us for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Did you live in the basement?
No, they were empty apartments because a lot of people moved out of that area. So we moved into an empty apartment with, you know, some of our cohorts, not all of them. You know, some people that were friends and that lived in the same building with us.
Incredible.
And it was a terrible time.
Yeah. And how old were you?
I was in my early 20s, like 21, 22,
Amazing.
23, something like that.
So you went from that
From that,
to now what you have.
from that, we, you know, when Gus and I came to New York, well, he was a small town boy, and he started painting in Budapest because he didn't, you know, as a kid, he said he could never afford to go to an art school. So he just abandoned the idea, and when he came to Budapest and we